Welcome to Fusion 360 Basics. Fusion 360 is an awesome program. Educators and students get it free, and it's cloud-based. So you can go home, you can download Fusion 360, and you can access your files from home or from school, which makes it very powerful. So let's talk about some of the very basics that you need to know to be successful in Fusion 360. We'll start with the data panel. This one right here. What we want to do is click on that, and it shows us all of the various files that you can work on. I've got 3 folders here, and I've got a bunch of student folders, student files that we're working on as well. So if you want to open up an existing file, that's where you go. The next thing we have is the file menu. Things of note: new design from file, save, save as, export, all useful. You may even like capture image, and we'll take a picture of your screen. Save, undo, and redo. Over here is your login, so don't forget to log out when you're done. If you have more than one project open, you'll have there'll be tabs all along here. So right now we have a tab untitled because we haven't saved this. If I hit the plus here, I can create a new tab and a new project. The next thing we have that's of importance is our browser tree. So this is our design. It's unsaved right now, but if we were to save it, new file, and save it, this will change to new file version 0, and it'll change up there as well. And I'll just close this extra tab. Some things of note: we can change our dimensions here by clicking change our dimensions. We can change it from centimeters, millimeters, meters, inches, and feet. We'll leave it in inches. Named views: very often when you're looking at stuff, you want to see the top, the front, right, or the orthographic perspective version, which is home, and as well as the origin. And you can turn these things on and off by using the light bulbs. One of the things we want to do for every drawing is we want to right click up here. We want to create a new component. New components are important to keeping things organized, and this little bullet here lets us activate it. So I can click up here and activate this one, or I can come down here and activate it by clicking the bullet there. And inside, if we expand it, we'll also have an origin, and other files will show up here, such as sketches, bodies, canvases, etc. The Viewcube. This one here is very important as well. It shows us what we're looking at. In our old program, we had viewports. While you can still do that in Rhino, this is the way it's done in Fusion. So what we're going to do is, if we want to look at the front view, we just click on front. If we want to look at the right view, we look at right. We click on right. If we look at the top, we look at top. Let's quickly draw a object on the screen, and we'll be able to see what we're talking about. So we just got a simple cube. We're looking at a perspective view or 3D. If I click on front, it'll rotate to the front. If I want to go back to perspective, I click on home, and it'll zoom in as well. And zooming is easily done by rotating the mouse wheel. And same thing, if we want to look at top, we can look at the top. If we want to look at the front edge, we can look at the front edge. We could just essentially look at all the different things we want to. Right, we can click the arrows above or below to look at the bottom. We can look at the back. Tons of different stuff. The other thing we can do is we can rotate using these rotation arrows as well. Some of the other things that we want to look at is this bar across here. We have the workspace menu. You're really only ever going to use model or cam in this class. We have the sketch menu, and it includes creating a new sketch and all the different tools and editing options that I'll cover in a later video. And we've got create. We'll use the extrude command and perhaps some of the other ones as well. The rest of these modify, we won't worry about that. These are all advanced features we'll look at later. Measure, you'll want to use measure later. You're going to want to use insert. We'll click on make for 3D printing. And we have selection options as well, but we'll cover that later. Down at the bottom is the last things you need to know. So if we want to move around here, we want to orbit around it, we can click on orbit, and then we can left click and we can roll around and look at our object. It's very easy to get lost, so we'll come up here, we'll click on home. We've got look at. You can look at specific parts, just clicking on them. Pan lets us pan back and forth. We have zoom in and zoom out just by left clicking and holding and moving the mouse button up and down. We can zoom window, or we can zoom to fit. And I should note that if you want to zoom, again, you can use the scroll wheel. If you want to orbit, pan, you can hold down the middle mouse click. And if you hold down shift and middle mouse click, you can orbit. I always like hitting home when I'm done. You can change some display settings, won't worry about that. Grid and snaps, most of the time you're going to want to turn snap to grid off. And viewports if you wanted to have multiple viewports. The last little bit that's interesting is there's a history down here. I'll cover that later. For now, just ignore it. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the right-click menu. So when you right-click, it brings up a number of options. The first one is, let's say that you were doing a sketch and you were drawing with the line tool and then you accidentally closed. It's like, oh, I want to keep going. Well, you could go all the way up here and click, but the easiest way, just right click. And you'll notice that there's a repeat line feature. So this is the right click menu right now as we have a tool selected. So we're going to click on line and then we can keep going. Okay. But again, still, that's all we have with the repeat line. Now, if I hit escape, so I'm not in any tool, and I right click, we get all kinds of different options. So we can still repeat a line, and if I click on that, it brings the tool back up, and I can keep drawing. But with no tool, I hit escape, no tool, right click, we have all these different things. So I'm not going to get into any of these, but what I will say is that you can access all your tools in this upper toolbar from this menu, as well as stopping your sketch. So that's handy. The other thing is we have delete. So what we can do is we can click on a line, we can right click, we can delete, it goes away. We have undo. We have move copy, which we'll cover that in a different tutorial. Same with whole sketch. We have these options with the sketch. I'm not going to get too much into that. And we have press pull, which lets us extrude things without actually clicking on extrude. And that's about everything you need to know right now about the right click menu. It's pretty handy to use. It's quick, it's fast, it saves you from having to go up to this menu. So that's it. Thanks for watching.